Welcome back, everyone, to Frank Krueger's Spatial Reality, which is, I guess, part of this podcast. I don't think I'm actually inside the headset. You're just looking at your laptop because I see your laptop. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm using computer monitors like an old-fashioned person. It's a little bit frustrating. Last week, I sang so many praises about the virtual monitor. It
Yes.
has one downside. It's a little flaky. It doesn't
Ah,
always reestablish the connection and all that. And I often get frustrated enough that I don't bother reestablishing the connection. But yes, here I am with an old-fashioned monitor in front of me.
how is this? How is this, whatever this is right now, you looking at monitors and working in monitors? Is the thing that is enjoyable?
Oh yeah, it's perfectly fine. I do. I want an app to zoom in and enhance. Copyright Frank Krueger. No one else write it.
Zoom, zoom,
But
zoom,
everything else is
enhance.
great. But I got things on my head. I want some binoculars. I want the fonts bigger. That's
Yeah,
the whole reason I like the virtual monitors because I can make the monitor huge.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so a week in, let's get a quick recap. We're going to get into .NET stuff. It's not going to be an Apple Vision Pro podcast, people. It's
Nope.
not going to
Not this week.
happen .NET this week. But let's get a quick little recap for the folks that are really interested in the Apple Vision Pro. You're 1 week into this grand adventure. How's
Yeah.
that going?
I'm enjoying it. I've learned I do have to take some days off. I can't live 100% in spatial reality, but that's okay. That's fine. It lets me use the old-fashioned world and get acquainted with the real world again. But otherwise, I do actually love to have it on. I'm sticking by the phone feels old-fashioned compared to these. Like I'll even put these on to listen to a podcast because I don't know how the audio is good, but the audio is good. I have no idea what it sounds like to someone if someone else was in the room. Fortunately, there's no one else in the room, so fine. And I've learned there's a lot of tricks to writing apps. I've
Hmm.
been testing all my apps and playing with new app ideas because once you have the device, obviously you're a little more in tune with what's good on it and what's bad on it. And there's some obvious apps that I just kind of want to write now.
That's the joy of getting the actual devices, any device, playing around with it. You get that real sense of like, oh, idea, you know what I mean? And like, I want this.
Yeah.
And often, like I always like to say, the best applications are ones that you want yourself, because one, you're motivated to build it for yourself and hopefully other people like it. Hence, numbers
Yeah.
on a screen, Frank, which is my middle name,
Exactly.
which are the apps that I build, as we all know. One thing, MKBHD did a video, sort of his 1 week recap, that I wanted to just um, talk to you first about if you agree. And then also, now that you've had a chance to play around with Reality Kit and other things, kind of comment on this type of development that you think would be possible or maybe not possible. So, first thing is, does the device make you feel kind of alone inside this spatial reality? Do you kind of feel a little disconnected or alone without having shared experiences inside this thing?
I haven't. So the answer is no, but I haven't been in a circumstance where I think that would get triggered.
Got it.
Because if I was in a busy intersection and I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the Casey Neistat review now.
Yeah.
If I was at a busy intersection and just playing around in spatial reality, I think there would be a funny disconnect between those in the know and not in the know. Um, but uh, when you're by yourself, no, nope. The
Okay.
cat even doesn't seem to mind me. The cat still makes eye contact, which I find hilarious.
Mm,
So animals seem to be able to pick up on. Oh, it's just a
on it.
human wearing weird goggles.
I like that. Well, MKBHD specifically was talking a little bit about that there's a sort of lack of shared experiences in this device. For example, you are very much aware of virtual reality devices. Very popular experience might be like Rec Room, for example, where you can kind of jump into this virtual world, you run around, you hop in, play some games with people, et cetera, et cetera. There's two instances in which MKBHD specifically talks about what could be an enhancement maybe for V2 or maybe even V1 in a software update. Now, he's like, I don't really know what would be possible today. And maybe you would now that you've gotten to play around with Reality Kit and the hardware. So there's two types of experiences. The first reality experience, the spatial reality experience that he talks about, is two people with the Vision Pro on, you and I, in the same room, in the same room. So we're both together in the same room with a Vision Pro on. Today, there's no shared experiences. And what he means by that is, imagine Frank and I are
Mm-hmm.
both wearing our Apple Vision Pros, and he, Frank, takes his eye circuit, and puts a circuit down or puts a ball down or puts a drawing
Yeah.
of a map down. I don't get to experience that with him, right? There's no multiplayer mode
Okay.
on there. So that's the first experience. And if
Can I
I could
comment?
experience that together, how would that work with these spatial anchors?
Right. So, it's true. I personally, I haven't been around the App Store enough, honestly, yet. I haven't been doing what I said I was going to do and look at all the top charts. But I would say from the apps I've tried, they are very much solo apps. That said, Apple has a wonderful sample. I love it when I can shout out Apple samples. It's a weird game. Some clouds attack you, and you have to shoot the clouds with some rainbows. It's an overdone Apple sample, but it's a full game. And the neat thing about that game is that they have a whole new connectivity API. And the
Mm,
name of it all is slipping my mind. Honestly, we should do a whole episode on it because it's kind of interesting.
yeah.
And if you architect your code with that in mind, I think it's actually pretty simple to create shared experiences because they handle all the nasty networking kind of stuff. You're guaranteed two channels, a reliable channel and an unreliable channel. This is classic game networking kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And you just pass messages between the people in the room. There's some kind of lobby thing where you can all join up, and it, oddly enough, I think happens through the FaceTime API. And
Mm,
so I'm actually really curious. It is definitely meant for two people in the same room. It can handle that. Uh, I'm curious if it can handle the remote thing very well. So that's stuff I still want to play around with that I haven't gotten to. But I would say Apple even has a sample for two people with $3,500 Vision Pros in one room so that they can play together.
all right. That'd be that because that kind of makes a lot of sense to me. Like one example that Marquez talked about was the night sky application where you can see all the stars in the night. If you were both sitting there, like there's actually a mode where you can have a pointer and you can kind of do like what's in the night sky together, but you can't do it
Mm-hmm.
together today, right? So that's like seems to be a
Okay.
new API, maybe needs to be featured because ideally you want to share the sky and share the pointer and hand the pointer
Yeah.
back and forth in the shared reality. Now that'd be kind of cool. And now that's one example that's kind of overlaying. But the other example is like, hey, we're looking at this, diagram or whatever, and we're looking at it together, and you're manipulating it, I'm manipulating it. It's
Yeah.
good to go. The other one, which I think is much more realistic, and I have to imagine would be extremely doable today. And there's maybe some apps that will already do this, but it's we both are having a Vision Pro, and we are in separate rooms,
Yeah.
separate locations, separate states, separate countries, and we're sharing a virtual reality and experiencing it together. So in that instance, the night sky application is perfect because we're both looking at the night sky and maybe we
Mhm.
focus it on together in one area. We can zoom around and we're each doing stuff together, right? We're in this virtual space. That to me is just normal virtual reality stuff, right?
Yeah, you run into the issues of teleportation though. So like night sky is tricky because the night sky, if I was talking to someone in Texas, it's a different night sky.
Yeah.
Um,
That example,
so you
Frank,
would,
but you know what I meant. Like we share once
I know,
we okay, we have a globe.
I,
There's a globe that we are sharing in a virtual space and we're walking around the desert of the Mojave together.
I was getting to, yes, the teleportation aspect is kind of fun though. You could say, here, you
Mm,
come see my night sky, or you come see my night sky, and we can
yeah.
kind of share it that way so you can play around with teleportation.
Yeah.
Uh, I need to do some more research. I can't speak confidently on that one. Like I said, my best knowledge comes from that sample app that was definitely focused on people in the same room.
Yeah.
But uh, definitely need to find out. I'm a little bit sad that Apple didn't do yet another social network. It's a huge
Mm,
project, but like Ping 3D or something like that, so we could all just join a virtual space. It's a little sad that there isn't just one big Apple virtual space, but
yeah.
I also understand why they didn't undertake such a massive venture.
It's hard. I mean, I think that if you did something like Rec Room, I know they have like Horizons on the Meta Quest, right? I mean, there's a lot of always mixed reviews once you enter that space. I mean, even the FaceTime, the Persona thing, is getting different things. So whenever you are doing anything like that's under different scrutiny, that is for sure. But cool. I mean, it's a interesting video and his perspectives. He also thinks it's going to be a once in every few years device, like 3 years device, which is fascinating
Yeah.
to me, which could be true.
Get those sales numbers up, get it commoditized. That's fine. It's okay because it's a decent device. Maybe it'll come down $500 next year. That'd be nice, Apple.
Yeah, I mean, he pointed out the fact that between the different Meta devices, the Meta Quest devices, they took quite a long time in between, right? So I think that we'll kind of see how it plays out. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying
Plus,
it. I'm excited to try it if you ever come visit me.
oh yeah, okay. You had to start the guilt trip. I did want to make one last point to your last point though. It's kind of nice coding for a single device right now.
Mm,
You can take shortcuts and you can tune it. Like I know it's going to run as well as it runs on my device as it's going to run on everyone else's device right
yeah.
now. So I actually really appreciate, like I know exactly how much RAM everyone has. I know all these details. So I love being able to tune an app to a specific device without having to worry about like the second one that comes out eventually, and then I'll have to start changing the code to tune it to two devices. Yeah.
I think it's very fascinating that you mentioned that because to me, it reminds myself of console development. There's one reason in which console development is unique is because everybody has the same hardware. And that is really unique for game
Yeah,
developers. One of the problems
exactly.
that on PC, and maybe not so much a problem now, but still kind of a problem is there's bajillion PCs of all different specs, different processors, different GPUs, different memories, different operating systems, different
Yeah.
security patches, all these things. So, you know, things have come a long way in compatibility, but you're still developing against that, right? When we're building Shred Nebula, we're building it for the Xbox 360. And guess what? The Xbox 360 was the Xbox 360. Now, some
Yeah,
could say, okay, well, there's the Series S and the Series X, but it figures it all
eventually.
out basically.
It took some years. Yeah.
Yeah. But even still, two pieces of hardware that are just basically, different, different scales or whatever, you do some things are much more than the variety of devices that are out there. And then some might be saying, well,
Yeah.
there's not that many iPhones. Oh no, but there are. You're thinking you got all different,
Oh my god.
iPhones, Pros, iPads, that, and then you're not even throwing in the world of Android devices.
I haven't released an app yet, so I haven't gone through the screenshot, the wonder of creating screenshots for your apps. It's incredibly important to people purchasing your app. At the same time, God, I hate creating screenshots. Anyway, I was just thinking one of the pain points with iPhones these days, well, they've cleaned it up a little bit in the UI, but it used to be you had to create 5 to 7 to 9 different sizes of all your screenshots for every
Yeah.
device. I think even if we get into Vision Pro 13, the world is the world.
Yeah.
The
True.
screen size is never going to change. The resolutions might change, but you can always just upscale. But it's not like the dimensions are going to change or anything like that. So it is kind of fun actually programming for a vaguely stable screen resolution environment, and that the screen resolution is the size of the planet.
That's true. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I'm excited to see the experiences that come out of it. It's not like the first headset in the world, but that being said, it's first headset from Apple and this bigger app ecosystem and just the SDKs. I'm excited to see what happens at WWDC because now that this thing is out, they have the ability to, release some new kits, if you will, SDKs into this puppy, some frameworks into the SDK, I should say, to get my terminology correct, and really expand on some of these things and experiences that developers want to do. Like you can do a lot of things manually, but often Apple creates these beautiful
Yeah.
frameworks that make it easier to do those experiences. So who knows if we will have a updated experience to do the shared spaces. And really for that is just the pinning and the location awareness aspect of it, which again, as long as that data is being flowed accordingly, should be okay. So I'm interested to see how that works out. Now, have you left the house with the Apple Vision Pro yet?
Oh, heck no.
Okay.
I do see a lot of brave individuals on the internet doing it, but
No,
I
don't do
haven't
it.
had the guts.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, as I said, battery's not gonna last that long. Um, well, cool. Well, I'm excited
Affirm.
that you like it. I'm excited to try
Yep.
it. I'm excited to get into your spatial reality, Frank. So thank you for
We'll
the
see.
update. We'll keep people updated. If you have questions, you can of course write into the show. As always, we love that stuff. Episode 400 is coming up,
What?
Frank.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's coming up.
it's coming up
Are we
sooner
still
than
going
you
to do a lightning
think.
for 400? But wow, yeah, we vaguely celebrate our hundreds once in a while.
Yeah, yeah,
Every
400.
100 or so episodes.
400 potato. So we'll see what we do. But yeah, definitely write into the show, leave a comment on YouTube and let us know what you think. If you have questions, we usually do lightning topics. We'll do all the things. Maybe we'll live stream it. Who knows? It'll be an adventure. Frank, we're recording this today on February 13th, one day before Magical Valentine's Day, which is the day in which you get to eat chocolate and not have any guilt at all.
Oh,
Um,
that's what
that's
it's
what it's
for.
for.
I
That's
was curious all these years. Okay. I
all it's
thought it was
for. Is
for
you can
getting
just
like little pink cards, but
no,
I guess the chocolate's good too.
just chocolate. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Only just chocolate. That's what the whole day is for. No. So today, the 13th. So this is almost a week ago, if you will, almost. We talked about how earlier in the year we tried out early alpha beta builds of .NET 9, but we got some previews. Preview 1 has dropped, and in fact, not only the preview, but there's a whole vision for .NET 9 that the .NET team dropped on the .NET blog today, which is a little bit of a different kind of experience that's out there. To get up to date, there are brand new announcements all over GitHub discussions as well. And you said that you got to dive through some of the things. I was very close to this process with an amazing team of people. I might say that I spent many, many hours with an amazing service and release team and
Oh.
PM and engineering team, seeing how all the things are released. And it is fascinating and awesome all at the same time. So I'm very close. I'm as close to, I didn't write any code of this release, but I'm as close to the things, surrounding this release that came out today than I ever have been before with other folks. So that's really cool. So you
Vague.
saw some news, you saw some posts, some things, Frank, what's the word?
I did see some things. I don't know which of the things that you're trying to take credit for there, so I'm just going to tell you what things I saw.
I take
Um,
credit for nothing. I just simply worked with a lot of people and they worked with me and a whole bunch of awesome stuff kind of happened. So
you should take credit for one thing because I did see a tweet that you posted, and you're like, "Hey, .NET 9 Preview 1 is out." So I'm like, "Ooh, I'm actually interested in that."
I did
Yes, you
tweet.
are correct. We have been running the .NET 9. You and I think we're a collective person at this point.
Yes.
Um, it's funny because every time I do a .NET new project on my computer, it's a .NET 9 project. I'm like, oh geez, I've meant to uninstall that for the longest time because I've had the
Oops.
I think like the very first release of it, like a
Yeah.
pretty early one. Yeah. So I'm going to be very happy to get something a little more, I assume, stable since it's a preview one. I don't know. I don't know how Microsoft names things anymore, but that sounds more stable than my like, oh my
Sounds
god,
legit.
hot off the presses version. Yeah, so your tweet led me to a GitHub post from Rich Lander, friend of the show, Rich Lander. And it was neat. They broke it down into nice, easy to digest categories because usually it's a really long blog post that I really can't get through, but I like the organization here. So they broke it down into .NET SDK, runtime, libraries, ASP.NET Core, .NET MAUI, of course, and then data and EF Core. And each one had a set of release notes, and you click them and you read them, and you're like, oh, so that's what's changing in .NET 9. Neat. It was so organized. I love it, it. Sounds a little banal what I'm talking about, but I don't know. It never felt this organized before.
Nice. Yeah, I excited to hear. This is the first review of this new process. There's of course a few people like responded here and there, but hands on from Frank Krueger. Yeah. So there was a series of things. Yeah. So there was there's the .NET Core repo, not to be confused with .NET Core, but the core of .NET repo. This
Yeah.
repo has actually been the home of release notes just for .NET. They've been mostly small, like kind of point in time releases, service notes, release notes, things like that for a long time. And now when you dive in, so what's really cool is if you've ever gone in this repo, cleaned it up a little bit, but there's a release notes folder and there's 1.1, 2, 2.1, 2.2, all the way to 9.0. And you click
Oh
on
my god.
9.0. There's all this information about getting started, installing, known issues, Linux packages, support OS. And then there's a preview/preview one. And yeah, you dive in there and it's like, here's the release, here's ASP.NET Core, .NET MAUI, all these things. And you just dive through. There's all these nice little things inside of here. But more importantly, there's GitHub discussions, which is actually where the announcements were made. And like you said, there's one main one here in this news categories on this repo, which highlights that release. But you also can go in to each of the announcements, which are inside of the repos. Like, how much sense does that make? Hopefully, that the discussions around ASP.NET Core take place in the ASP.NET Core place where you can file an issue, you can have a discussion, you can look at the code, XYZ, and there's all these announcements for it, which is cool. So that is pretty nifty. So there's that. But then additionally, one thing that's really, really neat that I might point out that you might not have noticed is that there is what's new documentation. So obviously for preview one, kind of mostly whatever's in the release notes is probably what's new, but there's like a what's new in .NET 9 and .NET MAUI and .NET 9 and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And you can click on that. And what's super neat about it is it's sort of here's updated for whatever the current release is, right? So it's like if you're just coming in preview 5, you don't care
Mhm.
about preview 1 through whatever. You just care about what I'm installing now today. And that's what that puppy is there compared to all of the release notes for every little thing if you want to follow along at home, which is super duper nifty right there. So that's the plan,
Yeah,
if you will.
it can always work both ways for me. When I'm in the mood, when I'm really like when it's getting near release time, or just when something first comes out, I usually watch all the release notes because I find them fascinating and it's fun and it's
Yeah.
interesting. Um, but toward the end, obviously, you just get tired of reading all of them. So it's good to be able to just get the overall summary just at the end. And I already noticed that because the .NET MAUI didn't have any specific release notes for 9.1. I think, or why am I calling it 9.1? 9.0 preview one. I think the release notes were bug fixes and improvements. Go read our what's new in 9.0 because that's the real document that tells you all
Yeah.
the real changes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sort of
that's
feels like a cohesive family of
almost.
releases, right? Yeah, almost. Oh, it's like
I
it's
like
one
that
big product.
the library's discussion goes to the runtime repos. So it's not a perfect alignment between the categories and the repos, but at least you get put to the right place. I didn't bother with the discussions. With these big .NET versions, I'm mostly just rah rah, keep going. Let me know when it's done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense in general. Yeah, and that's sort of the nice part of it. You can kind of pick and choose as you want. And you're right. Like I was pretty excited with some of the few things in this release. If we kind of dive through it, at least for .NET MAUI, like you said, there's not a big game changing thing inside of there, right? You dive through the release notes, and what you'll see is that there's just focus on quality basically all up
Yeah,
that's going on there, and you can take a look at the Android and iOS ones, which is which is nice to see, and you can take a look at the GitHub release if you really wanted to dive through stuff. So not a lot happening inside the Maui stuff, but I wasn't expecting the .NET 8 one just shipped. You know what I mean? Like what was your expectations, I guess, a little bit in this preview? Were you expecting like, and here's a 5 billion new things, or did it kind of meet your expectations where it's like, hey, like, here's a bunch of stuff that's
yeah.
fixed?
Well, once again, I'm not 100% clear on the naming conventions. Like, I don't know how it
Mm,
would pre is different from the God knows what I was using before. Um, so I was prepared to be wowed. I was open
Mm,
minded. I should actually say that's what I was. I was curious because my expectation was a little bit of the what's new in 9.0.
yeah.
So I would make sure that those links are at the top of each article for the actual release notes. Um, but when you say release notes, I understand what release notes are. They're a diff. They're a diff since the last big release. I don't actually know when the last big release was. So I was like, well, let's see what's changed. Probably since my janky old version. And I don't know. There were still cool things to read. But I would say my expectation was a complete diff from 8.0, basically.
Mm. Yeah, I think so. I think actually someone did a pull request for complete API diff that will be added into that as well, which is kind of cool. Yeah, in it. One thing
But
that I actually, yeah, go ahead.
oh no, go ahead. I
Oh,
do want to get into the actual salient changes. I don't want to spend
yeah.
all the time just talking about the wonderful documentation structure, but please
No,
continue.
I'm ready. The one thing that I'm actually excited about is some SDK updates, like command line updates. Frank, I know what you're
That's
thinking about, James talking about
that's the
command line.
one. That's
No.
the one I wanted to talk about.
Well, there's two big updates in it. Now the question is, which one am I excited about, and which one are you excited about?
Well,
Ready?
truthfully, I'm excited about both. So, okay,
Okay.
ready? We'll see how our connection is on this. Three, two, one. Terminal
Automatic
logger.
tool upgrade, downgrade on install. Okay. Well, I'm excited about both. You'll explain why you're excited about the other one. I'm excited because one thing that I like the .NET global install tool. There's a bunch of them in there. One of the things that I think was always kind of out there was the only way to like upgrade different things was you had to run .NET Tool update and didn't make a lot of sense. But now you can just run .NET Tool install and then you can have it, go install a specific version. It'll upgrade it to the latest version, or you can also allow it to downgrade to an older version if the tool was already installed. So that, easily stuff like that. So easy peasy, just
Love
a
it.
nice little quality of life.
Let me say why I love it because
Yes.
A, I can never remember if it's update or upgrade. Who can ever
Yep.
remember that? And I can never remember if you got to do dash dash or not. I use way too many package managers for way too many programming languages, and they all use slightly different terminologies. Update, upgrade, dash dash, no dash dash. Thank goodness. This is what installs should have always done. Good
Yep.
change. Quality of life improvement should have always been there. Hashtag finally. Okay,
See,
now
yours.
the proper change. And I'm making a lot of assumptions here because I haven't actually tested it out myself. But the fancy terminal logger is going to be turned on by default. And this terminal logger is finally, so says the documentation, going to make the output from builds and everything easier to read, just better when you're accessing builds from terminals, which I do constantly, all day, every day. It's my life. I'm a weirdo like that. And it wasn't on by default because, if you're piping out the log, then you don't want all these like terminal commands in your log files. But I guess they feel confident enough in their detection support now that it's on by default. And I want fancy terminal stuff because I love the terminal. I'm a terminal person.
Yeah, it's been a year, over almost a year since it was released actually in .NET 8 Preview 4, and that's what they
Yeah.
linked to, which is a really nice GIF. And I will say it's a very nice output. Like it gives you, timing and succeeding, and it kind of is like overwriting itself, and it's just like very much more
Fair.
digestible.
Is that the
Yeah,
word?
digestible.
Humane?
It's yeah,
It's
both.
Yeah, it's just I mean, it's still gonna fill your screen, but it fills your screen in a more animated and fun and pleasant way. So yeah, digestible. We'll go with that, I guess.
Yeah, it's very, very, very nice.
So
So
I don't feel like I'm pitching it well enough. Console improvements are good. They're just good. The old output was boring and long, and I don't know. .NET error messages get long. it's nice to tidy it all up.
Yeah. I'm pretty impressed with lots of JIT improvements. Frank Krueger, JIT just
Jet
being all over the place.
improvements.
So much JITting happening in the runtime. Now, I will say this: I do, because the SDK is a separate file. I can kind of like really do this, but yeah, JIT, so much stuff, tons of optimizations. We got ARM 64 SVE SVE2 support and allocator improvements inside of .NET 9. Like just so much JITting, and I like the details of the release notes that the team went into with RyuJIT. And how it worked and what the upgrade was and the improvements. So like, for example, like register allocation, right? Like, when you start up your application, the JIT needs to go and it needs to register it needs to basically, you know, go through this register allocation phase. And it's really important for generating performant code. So it does this, all the time. But they've gone through and they've done a bunch of optimizations here in this preview one that basically enables up to a 10% throughput improvement in this register allocation process, which is pretty awesome
Yeah.
to see.
For those who don't love researching processors, let me give you the silly version of it. This is like compilers. This is compiler theory. This is the fun stuff where computers want to operate on registers because those things are fast, but there's only so many of them. So you got to be the compiler, the JIT in this case, has to be really intelligent about which ones it uses and when. Uh, because the bad thing is if you need to use more variables than you have registers for, then you have to start using the stack. And the stack is memory, and memory is much slower than registers. And so register allocation, it's fine. I'm sure someone had to pull out their hair for a year to get that 10%, but that's a big deal. 10% just out of register allocation, because that's just going
Yeah.
to affect code everywhere. And you went fast over it, but that SVE thing for ARM is pretty cool because vectorization, again, just getting more out of every clock cycle on these computers. It's good. Efficiency is
Well,
good.
and so SVEs are scalable vector extension. This is for ARM devices and ARM 64 specific, like specification basically. But it's really focused in on machine learning and high performance computing. So I think that there's a lot of things. If you actually read the vision document for .NET 9, there's a big, the two main key focus areas besides performance are AI and cloud native development inside of .NET itself, right? And I can imagine that part of this, as we think about as we're processing things, having this type of support in for this sort of high performance computing and machine learning kind of goes really nice. Now SVE2 actually extends it, and they write in here that it's actually meant for more domains like computer vision, multimedia, and even general purpose software beyond that. So that's kind of cool that you just kind of now get the support from the JIT, and it's just in there, which is nice.
Yep, that's always kind of been the benefit of .NET. We ship around everything as IL so that the little JIT can just come along and improve things and just make everything faster and better. So it's fun to see that actually happening.
Yeah.
JIT stuff. RyuJIT. I'm still living the AOT life, so I'm a little bit jealous of all the people running on big servers that get to all the benefits of RyuJIT.
Yeah.
Change of pace.
Yes.
Link improvements. They're
Yes.
improving the link. We get
It's
we
happening.
link is everyone's favorite query language. It's the only one people. No, I'm just kidding. F# has one too, but link is the best. Uh, and we got two new functions, and I think this is fun. This is definitely like a diff, a release notes diff, like two functions. We're going to spend time talking about two little functions, but they're good little functions. And I'm glad they got added. Count by and aggregate by. Let's just do count by. It's like doing histograms, quick little histograms. So in SQL, you could do a group by, you could have your having clause to do some filtering, and then you can do like aggregate up the count, or maybe later the sum or things like that. But I don't think I'm going to be using this too much like in the actual application logic of my
Mm.
app. But oh my gosh, I'm going to be using the heck out of this for debugging and things like that,
Mm.
where I just need to print out some quick stats like to the console or something, where like I'm trying to like debug something else and I'm just like, okay, how many circles do I have? How many blahs do I have? And it's something you could have always written in Link, but it's nice that it's all just in one cute little function that you can just call anytime. Also, I think I should say I think F Sharp had it first. But anyway, good job. Good job.
Of course it did.
Like
Of course it did.
I
And
think.
I'm kind of curious too. The other one is aggregate by, which I think is pretty awesome too. So you can, the example they show is aggregating, scores together. So for example, they show the example of imagine just like a a key value pair, right? So you could
Mm-hmm.
aggregate by the first key basically, and then get the value out and combine it. So like, hey, here's a bunch of scores, right? So you could have like Frank, Frank, James, James, Frank, right? As and like,
Mm-hmm.
1, 5, 10, whatever our score is. And you can say aggregate by the first key, right? That's unique. So then in that case, it would be the ID. So it would just aggregate together all of Frank's scores and all of my scores. I think that's a better
Mm-hmm.
example than the zeros and ones and twos, but I get it. I see what they're coming from.
Yeah.
But I think that's really neat, and a nice little win there as well.
Yeah. So you could do a sum, get the total score, and then divide by the count. And then you would get a
Mm-hmm.
nice average. So you can do those kinds of things much more easily. Aggregate by can look a little bit intimidating, because it needs a few variables. It needs an initial condition, it needs the actual aggregation function, and it needs the selector, the thing that's doing the kind of group by, the thing that you're choosing the key from. So it's a little big and a little bit intimidating, but I think it'll be pretty useful, honestly, especially when you're doing kind of reports and outputting aggregate data.
Yeah. The last one, actually, there's a third one, which is index, which is a new method, by the way. So this one's actually pretty neat. You could do this before. You could do a select, and you could get let's say you had a I enumerable of strings. You could do select, and then you could say, give me the key and then the index, or like the string and then the index. So like, whatever the, key is and the I or whatever, and then index. Now you can just say like for each, and then you can give it a tuple, and then you can say, string, t, and then int index in, and then whatever your I enumerable is dot index. And what that will return to you is basically this data structure back will let you do a for each, but also get the index of whatever that's coming from the I enumerable, which is very nifty.
This is a big deal. In other languages, this is called enumerate. But basically, you're just attaching the indexing I to every value.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal because, oh my God, in the past, I've had to convert a lot of for eaches into for loops just because I wanted
Yep.
that index variable.
Yes.
And it's, yeah, it's so nice to be able to just say dot index.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job. Bravo.
Ba-bum. Yes, all sorts of goodies inside of there. Anything else from the libraries? There's a lot of like, things in there. What
Yeah,
anything else that stuck out to you?
I just have to say this is a big missing feature, or it's a big patch for a missing feature from .NET. I think .NET on Windows, .NET Framework had it, and I think Mono had it also. But reflection emit assemblies can be saved.
Ah,
That's a big deal. It's they try to explain some reasons why you would want this, but A, it makes like writing IDEs kind of fun and easy. But B, when you're actually doing reflection emit, things can go wrong in so many wonderful and weird ways, and it's really hard to debug. Honestly, sometimes
mm,
we had the whole episode a few episodes ago with me just going on about how wonderful reflection is and all that kind of stuff, but it can really be a pain in the butt sometimes when you're trying to debug it and understand it. So it's nice to be able to say, okay, that thing I'm trying to build up in memory, also spit that out to a file, please, so that I can use some more advanced tools and figure out what kind of a mess I've created with this code generation stuff.
yeah, that makes sense. That
Mhm.
makes sense. Um, I also think that there's some nice little enhancements to some cryptography. So we get like a KMAC algorithm. And then also some small little system text JSON improvements as well, which I think is nice. If you want to change your indent size, I think, I've done a whole
That
series
one's
on system
cute. Come
text.
on,
Yeah.
can we just laugh about that one though? That's cute. There's a whole like .web formatting style, which really just
Yeah.
means make the first letter lowercase.
It's
JSON,
true. It's
JavaScript.
true. Yeah.
Gotta make things lowercase.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I did a whole series on system text JSON, and I think what's really cool about it is there's all these like little features that are in there that are really full fledged. Obviously, people want every single feature from JSON.net, right? And there's all these little things as well. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I actually think the serialize option, which is funny. There's a new JSON serializer options dot web, and that actually makes it really easy to pass it in there
Yeah,
comparatively. In my opinion, we actually did a video on this. That you could do this, but you basically have to create a new set of serialization options, and then
yeah,
pass it in instead of just this like static property, which is also super duper nice.
yeah,
So you have to create a new thing and then pass it in. But anyways, this is nice because if you are doing mobile development and you're interacting with an ASP.NET Core backend, or just any backend really, it's probably going to use these default serializers by default. When you create a new ASP.NET Core application, a web API, it uses JSON serializer options.web by default. You need to override it. So this makes it nice so you can easily, inside of your mobile app or client application, suck it in, and then you're good to go. So kind of a nice little quality of life for us mobile devs interacting with backends to really streamline that
yeah.
with system text JSON.
I've noticed that in every project I just get it over with in the beginning now. I create a bunch of JSON serialization settings that I'm going to be using throughout the app, and I just
Yep.
reference those everywhere because I've just learned that, oh my god, there's just so many JSON settings, and the defaults are they're fine, but I seem to customize them all the time.
Yeah. So it's pretty nice in general. So all sorts of good stuff. There's everything
Yeah,
is good.
it's a little point release. I don't know why I keep
Oh,
calling it. That's why in my head I keep calling it 9.1. It's not 9.0 preview 1. But it was fun to get these little release notes and just geek out over some low level details again. Without Yeah, I don't know. It was just a nice digestible format. I look forward to the .NET 9 days, but honestly, I'm still catching up with .NET 8. I run into
yeah.
projects that have like .NET 7, and I'm like, oh, geez, I got to get these projects updated to .NET 8. So I'm
Yeah.
still updating things to .NET 8, but it'll be really nice to get rid of my janky old .NET 9 and put Preview 1 on this machine, because who knows
Yeah.
what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. I liked actually in our vision for .NET 9 blog post. It's like, hey, like we just released .NET 8 a few months ago. We recommend that you transition to that. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you
Yeah.
should just focus on that. Now, if you want to
Yeah.
be part of the .NET 9 journey, because hey, guess what? We do this every year, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're just going to tell you a little bit. Now, that blog post was also highly digestible, which I really liked as well. So that
Mhm.
was pretty nice to see there. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think, if you've followed along all of the other .NET 8 sevens ahead of time, like, a lot of things get added throughout the cycle, right? We literally have another 9 months of stuff happening and like
I
six,
know.
7 months. So much can happen. So it's cool to see this. And if, you want to try things out and do things like this, it's also nice that it's like, here's not a 5 billion new things. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like maybe my app, I could take advantage of this, or like just try it out. Maybe there's other performance improvements and things. So excited to see it. Excited that you enjoyed the new format. Let us know what you think if you've already upgraded all of your apps. I've upgraded all my apps to .NET 9 already, so they're all good to go.
Have
So
you? Okay.
no, maybe, but
Maybe.
I'm ready to install the new Visual Studios that launched and dropped as well. I mean, I've been previewing them forever, so I just love. There's a lot of new AI, like Copilot. Like the Copilot
Yeah.
summarized my commit. Wow, game changer. So good.
Oh, you're just cheating at programming. I love it.
Oh my goodness, I've been
Summarize my
playing.
commit.
Okay, we'll do a whole episode on Copilots. I've been using so much of Microsoft 365 Copilot everywhere at work.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's so amazing. Anyways, I gotta go. Bachelor is about to happen. I gotta go eat
Important.
dinner. Important stuff. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know what you think about all the things.net, and Apple Vision Pro if you got one. Right into the show, go to mergeconflict.fm. Of course, you can become a Patreon subscriber, help out the podcast. It's the only thing we're doing this year to help the show. Patreon.com/mergeconflict.fm. You can find links in the show notes below. But that is going to do it for this week's podcast. Until next time, I'm James Montemagno.
And I'm Frank Krueger. Thanks for watching and listening and being in spatial reality with us.
Peace.